But you might as well make yourself at home using modern style piano technique. So we had these 4 things, and then if you have the most important thing, and I think you see that, Chopin used to start his students like this, dropping the hand here. Okay, so you can see that the fingers are flat, right? So the idea is the weight is on the outside, because that's how it falls. So you don't really have pressure, you have weight. And a big thing that I think that people that study the instrument, regardless of how long they study, is that you immediately get stiff. Like you're going to start to play, I don't know, whatever, let's say. So now I'm in piano position. I got my arch. So it's not to say that you don't have a position here, but it's not stiff. Because as soon as it's stiff, you can barely move your fingers and the sound is really affected. I wanted to show this, actually. I forgot that this. Can you see this?
Yes.
So this is Chopin's hand. And this hand is, it's not, they made a cast of the left hand on his deathbed. And I don't know why they didn't take his right hand. He wasn't left-handed, apparently. But his hand probably was right. But you can see that his fingers, maybe you can't see, but they're not in like this position. They're not trained that way. They're more like Debussy's. They're flat. So if you play like Ravel. So if you don't have, I think it was he that said the wrists are the lungs of the pianist. So that's a really important statement to play anything. So the first thing that when somebody is going to learn a piece or learn an etude or, whatever, even if I'm reading it, you have to remember to keep this flexible. And not, most people that come probably to study with you have had some lessons, and they're already conditioned to be either playing forte piano or harpsichord, and that setup has nothing to do with this instrument. So it has to be like soft, and the other thing is that the idea of playing legato is very hard to teach. Because it has to do with, here, my weight is on this note now, right? So yeah, I feel like there's some tension here. And then it goes away when you feel weight, like if you're standing, you're not stiff. Your weight is on that note. So if you walk slowly, then you feel what weight transfer is. So I'm sure that he taught that. I'm sure that he was able to teach that.
What about the wrist? I get this question very often. That some people play with a higher wrist, and some people play with a lower wrist. Where should it be?
If I play here, let's see what kind of
I'll give you playing some octaves.
So at a medium speed, it doesn't matter, because it's the same. So let's say if you do, so here's a sliding piece. So here's notes. So here, where does the key repeat most easily is the best answer for that, because the key repeats, a lot of people think it repeats more easily here, but actually it repeats most easily here because this is the balance point. So really, you can't be lower than this, even for, you're right, so if you're playing, but if I want to play short notes, that's more of an issue. Short notes, how fast can the key come up? So if I'm higher wristed, they're not going to be as short. They're not going to be as short because, right, I have more weight going into the key here as opposed to the key can't come up as fast because I'm blocking the escapement. So we need to say a word about, okay, there's 4 kinds of things that we do on the piano. I mean, among others. There's the repeated notes. Right? So repeated notes. So let's say you could put 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm using all these fingers, but the key to repeated notes, so I'm inside the key where it's repeating, right? So if the repetition isn't adjusted well, I could still repeat by feeling the key come up all the way. Now most people cannot do that because they have to jump up. So most people are basically out of whack because they either have too much pressure going down, and then if you have either too much pressure or weight and you don't let the key up, there's no way that you're going to ever repeat any or play any other note, right? I mean, it's just like you're stuck. So you have to feel the key coming up and staying on the key, right? So,
but you're also using the movement comes from the arm, but it's the wrist is the one that is doing.
I was just going to go into that. So you could do it here. So it depends what you want and how much you want to repeat. So now I'm just. It depends. Context is a huge thing. So you have to, like if you want to have a word like chair, you have to be able to use it in more than one sentence, more than one way. And it depends how long you're going to repeat for, right? But if you have a piece that's tons of if you vary it, then so you have, because you need tension and release along the way for everything, right?
What about a piece like the Alborada del Grazioso, the Ravel? Do you teach changing fingerings?
You have to, I think. Yeah.
And that, yes, it's too fast.
Well, mostly you do that kind of thing, or even in lists like Mephisto Waltz, you change fingers because, well, you can do it with one fingering, like, what is that? I always do that with one finger because it's not very fast. But it depends. So one of the most important things about repeated notes is most repeated notes can be done with one finger pretty well. That's my preferred. But if not, there's 3, 2, 1 or 2, 1, right? And 4, 3, 2, 1. So 3, 2, 1 goes this way. 4, 3, 2, 1 goes this way. But the only problem with teaching repeated notes is that you really need to get see how I'm doing 3, 2, 1 and I'm right on the key? Because the higher you go, let's see if I can, that doesn't make repeated notes, right? So there's the repeated notes and then their scales. Well, we should probably say, in repeated notes, there's trills. So I put trills and repeated notes. So trills are much easier than repeated notes because it's every other note, right? This is list exercise, by the way. And the whole idea is, right, see how I'm riding the key? So if you do the old way, the old forte piano way of trill learning is 1, 3, 2, 3.